From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It is time for week 3 of the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the hostess with the mostest, the East Coast sports investor himself, the founder, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. How are you doing today, sir?
I wanted to first state I went deep into the archives, have my Calvin Johnson official NFL jersey. Was a big fan and helped me win a lot of fantasy teams back in the day. And second of all, I put the shades on for a second to tell all our viewers out there and yourself, week 3, it's not personal. I reached out to Coach Prime and said, best of luck when the Ducks put up 50 on you this week, but that's for another show this week. So anyways, blessed and honored as always to be here, sir.
Well, you won't catch me talking about taking off your sunglasses and your hat at it when you talk to grown-ups. Hey, but you know what though? The moment that coach said that, I said, "Oh, they in trouble. They may be a little bit of trouble Saturday night because coach been looking at that tape and he figured something out." Man, art of war, and I think that we'll talk more about it though because I have a whole bunch to talk about with you Thursday when it comes to college football because we got so many great games coming up this weekend in college football as well too. But let's go ahead and jump into what we did in week 2. And in week 2, it looks like Jeff is ahead of me as usual in the first few weeks. Jeff is always seeming to be ahead of me. I have another 7-9 week I'm coming off of. 14-18. I split last night. Jeff actually swept last night because he was able to get the spread home with the Panthers covering late. And then, of course, he was smart enough to not fall for the BS that the linebackers tried to put us through. Dude, you should never ever favor Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Come on, bro. If you look at the last 25 years of playing that, the last 40 years of playing that team, the Browns have won there 3 times. Okay, and that is absolutely terrible. All right, and I just don't know. But lines makers knew what they were doing. The Browns were the flavor of the week. It's that simple, and everybody became a Browns fan for a moment until somebody got their leg snapped last night. So, hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. But that was a tragic situation. Godspeed to Nick Chubb healing up and everything. Also, it's just injuries. Me and Jeff talked about it in the back before the show, how lack of preseason is starting to show up and that guys are just starting to fall apart. And, they want to extend the season, but we're going to start losing our best stars if you want to keep extending things. But, Jeff, go ahead and give us your 2 cents on that before we start getting into all of our football stuff.
It's what I said backstage very simply is the NFL itself is looked to making an 18-game season, and instead of 1 bye week, there'd be 2 bye weeks. And their thought process is take this all the way through February to March, get that Super Bowl there, and then it leads you right into the combine and then the draft and the eliminate the preseason games. Allow the teams to practice against one another in late July, early August, and then start the season in mid-August. What has happened now is the lack of pads, the lack of practice, the lack of the big stars actually playing these nonsense preseason games, and then walking into what is a gladiator arena in week 1 and week 2, not in shape, not up to game speed, and the athleticism and the size and the quickness of these athletes is second to none, and the strength of some of these guys, and you're just seeing all the injuries. In week 2 now, we've only played 2 weeks, and there's a list probably of 12 running backs that are done for the year that are out for 4 weeks, out for 3 weeks, to be determined, and that doesn't even count the guys in concussion protocol, etc. So the union has been stiff-arming this for a long time, and it has to get done and has to get done immediately. Or as we said, week 7, and then week 9, it will look like the replacements. And now what is happening with these stars is if you have a bye week in week 5, Pops, and you got injured in week 2, you're not going to push it. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to heal myself slowly, get the extra week with the bye, and I'll see you in week 6. So you're a little hamstring injury or a twisted ankle is now 1 month without playing. And, it affects the product, it affects the game. And then I'm going to say this tongue in cheek, but, people got money invested in fantasy leagues and stuff like that. So it's sad to say, but it's greed. It's greed, and it's more greed. Stop the Thursday night games. Do what you did this week. Do what you did next week. Play 2 games on Monday, 1 East Coast game, 1 West Coast game. After Thanksgiving, bring some games back on Saturday. Have them play Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But the Thursday game for years, I know you want the spotlight. Let the kids play on Thursday. Let your NFL players heal properly. And so the product stays better than, who's hurt and who's not.
Agreed. So let's jump into week 3. In week 3, here we are. Up first, oldie but goodie, but it's more of a playoff rivalry. But these teams have been around long enough to play each other a whole ton of times, and that's going to be the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, as we like to say. And then you have the San Francisco 49ers, the team that took the baseball Giants, which is now where they're at. You know what I mean? Because that was pretty cool. But the baseball team was before the football team, so we can make sure we get all those facts corrected. But all in all, though, Giants 1-1, 49ers 2-0. 49ers coming in with a super monster spread of 10.5, and no surprise by that either, with the Giants not having Saquon Barkley available for this game, and also Daniel Jones being who Daniel Jones is, meaning more responsibility to throw and run now on Thursday. And then, you got a machine in San Francisco right now that's just absolutely just annihilating offenses. This defense is absolutely incredible. I know they gave up 23 the other day, but that's an old rival right there in the Rams. So you can expect something like that. But all in all, Jeff, I'll let you kick it off. What are your thoughts on this game coming up?
Well, of course, everyone's assumption is remember what we saw last, and a Giant team that at one point got outscored 60-0. Great second half. Hats off to Jalen Hyatt at halftime, going into the locker room and just telling Daniel Jones and coach, "Can you just give me a shot here?" And if Daniel had led him, it would have been a 70-yard touchdown. My point here is the assumption is that they played in Arizona. They stayed in Arizona and heading out to the Bay for Thursday. No Saquon Barkley. In comes Matt Breida and whoever else. It will have to be Daniel Jones. He will have to not turn the ball over. Do I expect him to win? Hell no. But, Pops, you know this. You're a sharp guy. San Fran doesn't play well at home here, and especially as a double-digit favorite. So I bought the hook. I took the Giants up to 11. The total's 45. So, again, if the Giants can get to 17, they're figuring a 27-17 game. Get me to 17 or 20. It'll be hard. Don't get into a shootout. Win the turnover battle. I expect them to cover, Pops.
Well, the way that I see it, and everybody knows me, if I see a double-digit spread in the NFL, I usually take the plus side of things, especially in a situation where you're coming into a Thursday night football game, because it's only, as we just talked about, it's only 3 days after Sunday. And the Giants, let's keep it real, the Giants had to play literally 2 halves and 1 half. They played a game where they had to really speed up things and really be great quickly. And I thought that was tremendous. They showed us what they're capable of being on offense if the offense is being ran accordingly. And if Daniel Jones can be in a rhythm, if he can be smooth, if he can go against a defense that's not going to interrupt things. Now, we see that the Giants Biggest problem right now is the defense, but we know the Giants defense will probably catch up with itself soon enough, but they're not playing the type of Giants defense that we're used to them playing. San Francisco is an absolute monster, straight up. This team is better than the team from last year, and I'm surprised by that because I thought that team was very special in themselves too. But now you have McCaffrey in a full season with you now, and you have also you have also a very, very, very good wide receiver core led by Deebo Samuel, who's doing his damn thing right now, and they're just playing special ball right now, and it's a 53-man unit over there. Everybody's doing their part. Everybody's playing their part. So pretty much with that, I'm gonna go against my own judgment that I usually do, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the 49ers on the 10.5. I think they easily win this game by 2 touchdowns or better. The Giants beat up on a team that's expected to be bad this season. They're expected to draft number 1. So that comeback is kind of a smoke and mirrors type of comeback because, the Giants just didn't want to embarrass themselves, and the Cardinals got very comfortable. And that's really pretty much what it was. So I really do feel like the 49ers, they've already played against 2 really tough teams to start the season off. And the Giants, you played the Cowboys, and they're the other animal in the NFC. But at the end of the day, San Francisco is just that much better than the Giants at this point right now. Later on in the season, it would be a different type of situation for me. But early on and at this point of the year, this is going to be a reality check of who the Giants truly are, after what we saw week 1. So pretty much that's going to be my play right there, 10.5 to the 49ers. And we move forward from there, and we have ourselves the Falcons at the Lions. And the Falcons coming here as a 3.5-point dog, as an undefeated team, also over under a 45.5. And before I get into my actual breakdown of this game, Bijan Robinson is an absolute stud. And the way that he runs that ball, boy, oh boy, oh boy. That I haven't seen a guy really run the ball that well in a while, like in a very, very long time. And he doesn't look that big. Since go ahead. I don't know.
They had that one clip on social media with the cut, and the other cut, and he broke 2 ankles. He's a bigger version of Barry Sanders almost. I mean, that video alone, it was just, he's not as quick and agile. My point is he's got let me see. We'll go back to Texas. He's got some Ricky Williams in him. He's got some Earl Campbell in him, but his movement, his fluidity is sickening. And that's only 2 games into the NFL season as a rookie.
Yeah. And it's incredible to watch. It's incredible to see, and it's a lot of fun. He's a great weapon for Atlanta. Atlanta has now pretty much found themselves a guy, and that's absolutely incredible for that team. And Bijan Robinson right now will probably be a lot of people's offensive rookie of the year, no doubt about it. I know he's seen as a fantasy gem, and he went early in the fantasy drafts as well too. So everything is actually checking off, because they had the same type of hype for Mike Pitts last year as well too. So, you didn't know what you were getting going in, but who else is pretty good as well too? This kid, Jahmyr Gibbs, is playing very well too. And Jahmyr Gibbs, he didn't get a lot of reps when it came to running the ball, but he was pretty good in the passing game. And I think that's going to be a plus for that's going to be a big plus for Jared Goff. So, Jared Goff had a week last week where it was a little, left to be desired, but you still say, you know what? You did your absolute best to get your team back into that game. You guys almost won the game, and you guys just lost to a hungrier team. Seattle had to make up for getting absolutely crushed by a team that was not expected to crush them like that. So they had to make up for it. And I think really what happened to the Lions is that the jitters of your home crowd caught up with you again. It just seems that in their home openers, they get a little bit too overexcited and they always figure out a way to beat themselves. And I feel like that happened again. But when it comes down to this game right here, I feel like since the Falcons are really a one-trick pony in all essences of the word, I can't jump on this 2-0 because it looks like smoke and mirrors to me. You get to line it up with a Panthers team that has a brand new quarterback who was really trying to figure it out game one. They made some mistakes and they wound up losing that game. And literally the Packers defense really just went ahead and dropped that game. The Packers should have won that game. They just didn't know how to finish that game. So, Atlanta gets 2 great wins for surviving the games. And the first game, that was kind of like they were already the favorite in that one. And they're going against a team that's trying to figure themselves out. And then once again, week 2, you're going against a team trying to figure themselves out. And in reality, Atlanta's trying to figure themselves out, but they got good structure. They got a good game manager. But that's not going to be enough coming up Sunday. I just feel like Detroit's going to be too good for them come Sunday, and they'll right that wrong of not winning their home opener. I'm taking the Lions with the -190.
I like where your eyes are. Not many of us expect, obviously, the Lions to lose this game. Never mind. They were the talk of the town, the talk of the NFL going into Kansas City, winning that game. 10 days off. It was kind of sort of the perfect storm for Seattle coming off that embarrassing second half against the Rams, who, by the way, we'll get to later. Hats off to McVay, Puka, Tutu. It looks like they're engaged, and if it wasn't for that third quarter turnover, that game might have ended differently. But my point here is, I bought the hook. I'm taking Atlanta up to 4. There's a lot of injuries in Detroit. St. Brown questionable. Montgomery out. They took a couple other hits on the defensive side. They lost one of their best cornerbacks. I think if Ritter can come in and not make mistakes, be a good game manager. They got Drake London off at least last week versus Goose Egg. Maybe start to establish Kyle Pitts. The Atlanta D has been sneaky. I'm not calling them a good defense, but my point is, if they come in here with the thought process and the mentality, hey, we can't go first team to 30 here. You had an under-over. My true number was 44 in the 2.5. The public's taking it to 3.5 with a 46. They're expecting that shootout. I think this has got a 24-21 written all over it. First one to 24 wins this game. Wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if Detroit wins. But I'm going to say this, Pops. I would not be shocked if Atlanta came in and actually stole this game either.
It's a 50-50, Jeff. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I think that it's a straight up 50-50. And really, it's going to be two sides. It's going to be bettors are going to be jumping on both sides. This will probably drop to a 2.5 by the time we get the kick. I promise you that. I think that because they're going to try to really trick you into really taking that Lions line. If you're smart, you take the Lions on the money line like I'm doing right now. But they're going to try to get you to entice yourself into getting that 2.5 on the spread. Because right now we know that they're going to get the Falcons money early and they're going to get the Lions money late. That's how I'm feeling on this one. I
mean, you got the money line now. If this line does get to 4, if it, right now I'm looking, it's 3.5 at South Point. As soon as that thing hits 4 and your guy has it at 4, I'd go in there, buy the hook, and I'd have Atlanta plus 4.5 and the Lions to win. You got a great window there for a middle.
Yep. And that's where we call those 2-for-1 specials right there. All right, let's get into another 2-0, 1-1 game. And let me fix that real quick because you guys know I sent Jeff the the group early, and we got Monday night football games going, so you never might know. But as you guys can see, the Saints 2-0. Kind of no surprise there with the Saints being 2-0. They set them up in a position to be 2-0 at this point. Packers 1-1, and a lot of people didn't expect the Packers to be 1-1. A lot of people expected them to be winless at this point because they don't see this team as a team that's building up a playoff team. They see a team that's building up a roster for the long term. But I truly do think that they're right where they need to be. Jordan Love is no Aaron Rodgers. He's no Brett Favre, but they did a good job on drafting him. I don't care. The guy threw for 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he only finished up with 160 yards for that game, but still, he threw 3 beautiful touchdowns in that game, and he was able to operate when he was able to be comfortable. He doesn't have the greatest offensive line backing him up. And you know what? Having Aaron Jones is probably the greatest valet you could possibly ever have as a first-year starter. So there's a lot of things that are positives for Jordan Love. The biggest negative with this team right now is the defense. The defense literally gave up in the fourth quarter, in my opinion, or they just got way too tired. They spent way too much time on the field. And maybe that goes back to how the quarterback managed the clock as well, too. So all those parts play into the game. Now, you got a Saints team coming off of a close game last night, close game week 1. They won by 1 point. They won by 3, but they won last night's game pretty handily. Their defense took care majority of that game, but the offense is the biggest thing that you question right now because Derek Carr is a stat machine, but it seems like he can't lead anybody to the end zone. Like, he's not passing for any touchdowns or anything like that, but he does have a great array of weapons. And I truly do think that they're probably not going to really get kickstarted on the offensive end until Alvin Kamara gets there, because that opens up other things for you. But I think that they do need to figure out how they're going to fix this goal line offense, because once they get into the red zone, you kind of start thinking, well, go get the kicker ready. And this was the same issues that Matt Ryan had as well, too, later on in his career. And that's exactly the same movie that you're kind of seeing with Derek Carr. And the defense, I will say this is probably the best I've seen the Saints defense ever. And they're playing really, really, really top-end defense right now. Nobody's talking about that. So that's something that's a bonus for them as well, too. But I think when it comes down to this game, it's going to be too much for Derek Carr to overcome the crowd of Lambeau. And I think that the defense is going to have a lot of adjustments made coming into this game, because this will be an easier game for them to game plan than it was for the Falcons game. When you have a running game, it becomes that's really difficult to game plan against. But when you have a team that has a so-so quarterback and a run game that's not really taking off yet, then you can game plan a lot better for this. And I feel like you just have the home field advantage playing your first game in Green Bay, because everybody has to understand that Green Bay is not played at home yet. So this is their home opener, and I just feel like Green Bay goes ahead and wins this game. I'm taking them with the minus 130 here.
I followed your lead here, but I will say this. We were talking backstage about no one talking about the defenses that Kenny Pickett has faced. And some of the people that are saying Jordan Love was the right call. Look at how good he is. He's faced the Chicago defense, who's probably the worst in the NFL right now. And then he faced Atlanta, who I said is not bad. They're sneaky. But, I mean, Green Bay had that game won and took the foot off the gas pedal. Home opener. Don't know if Christian Watson will be ready. Don't know if Aaron Jones will be playing. But they did have some sneaky wide receivers still out there catching passes. I like the Packers here. I took the money line as well. Saints, don't forget, short week, played Monday night. Now got to, get back home to New Orleans, get yourself set up to head to Lambeau. So as long as Jordan Love wins the turnover battle, and Derek Carr hasn't showed me much. So Jamal Williams got hurt as well. I mean, the injuries just keep piling on and piling on. So slow Olave down. I don't think Jones Jr. will beat you, Green Bay. Whoever the hell Jones Jr. I thought it was Roy Jones. I didn't know he was playing football now. But it is what it is. So I followed you. Packers money line go to 2-1. Saints leave Lambeau 2-1 as well, Pops.
All right, and let's jump into our next game. And this is going to be the Broncos 0-2, Dolphins 2-0. And it's funny because I know a lot of people who try to predict the schedule probably said this would be a 2-0, 2-0 matchup coming into this week, or possibly in reverse, where it would be a 2-0 Broncos team going against an 0-2 Dolphins team. Because the Dolphins had two really tough games to start the season off. The Broncos had two very winnable games to start the season off. And that's where I'm having a little bit of does it really even matter that Sean Payton's the coach of the Broncos? Because none of this has changed yet, because they said that when he came in, it would be an absolute 180 from what they were last year, and they'll be a better team and blah 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 blah. And Russ will benefit from having a Super Bowl winning coach, blah 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 blah. But I think though we need to understand the writing is on the wall. Russell Wilson as a primetime elite quarterback, those days are done. Those are over with. You just get it over. You just get it out your head. He was a guy that it took a long time for him to get his big dollars. And the moment he has his big dollars, he's comfortable because he's won a Super Bowl before. He's been in a Pro Bowl before. He's done all of that good stuff. So pretty much now he's just enjoying playing the game of football. And you can't have a guy play for somebody like the Denver Broncos just enjoying the game of football. You have to have a guy that's a full-fledged winner. And I feel like Russell Wilson really does have to start showing that he's worth the trouble and worth all the investment that the Broncos did make. The new ownership group looks at this guy as the leader of the new era of the Broncos. This is a team without Pat Bowlen. Now, Pat Bowlen was one of the better owners in all of sports, and they had to live up to a certain standard. And we know that the Broncos are not a team that is used to being bad at all. They'll take a year or two off, but they're not going to be off for 5, 6, 7 years or be like the Browns or the Raiders and just take a decade break. Nah, that team doesn't operate like this. So I know that this is a must-win situation for them. Dolphins, though, on the other hand, Jeff, Dolphins are an absolute dream right now. If you're a Dolphins fan, you are just in hog heaven about this. This is like a Madden type situation for you. You got a quarterback that's playing the best is playing the best in the NFL. Yeah, I said it. Tua is probably the best quarterback right now in the NFL, the way that he's going about his business. Also, you have probably the best wide receiver core in the NFL, if not the best, the fastest. And then you have Mozart, who's another track star as well, too. Literally, these guys can go just run the 4-4 at the Paris Olympics for all they care. And this team is special, and they have the special look. But are they disciplined? That's the biggest question that I have for this team moving forward. Is this defense going to be able to stay intact? And they have a lot of pressure coming into their first home game of the season as well, too, Jeff. So what I'm going to do here is I know a lot of people are going to be all in love with Miami, and they're showing us the line that Miami should have this game sold up, walk in the park. But one thing is this. Denver always plays well in Miami. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. This could be the beginning of, the turnaround for the Broncos if they want it to be. But this is a must-win situation. I'm not taking them to win, Jeff, but I am going to take them to cover the spread. I'm taking them with the +6.5. And I think the number is telling me right now that the Broncos should cover this game and possibly win this game as well, too, by a late field goal.
My true numbers were 7 and 47. So right away, Vegas is telling me 27-20. What's alarming? Denver, opening week, losing to the Raiders. Then I saw the opening number against Washington, and it was 3. It smelt like the holy heaven. And at 21-3, I was like, man, I'm glad I left Washington on the desk. Well, in comes Sam Howell or Joe Theismann and the Hogs and John Riggins and you name it, and the Fun Bunch, and they just shocked the world. At the end of this year, it won't be Sean Payton. It will be Russell Wilson. That will be the problem. Now, I don't know what the contract looks like, but they'll probably go shopping for a young rookie quarterback in the draft. Miami, 2 amazing games, one in the Chargers, and again, they hold on in New England. Back home opener, you would think duck boats and parades. This is a walk in the park. I, too, think they'll find a way. They cannot get into the first 1-30 wins this game mentality. Russ just can't do it anymore. You talked about Mozart. Holy cow. I had him in a couple spots. Thank you, Mr. Mozart. Tyreek Hill being Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle in concussion protocol. Keep an eye on that as well. So I, too, bought the hook this time. Got the Broncos +7. Give me that 27-24 game and get out of Dodge, pups.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. I just think that it's going to be one of our better games coming up Sunday, as well, too, as it was probably going to be advertised. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when we get back, we will jump into some more early games. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back to you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. East meets West, you know how it goes. So pretty much, let's go ahead and jump into our next game, and it's going to be this one right here. It's going to be the Patriots and the Jets. The Pats coming in here 0-2. The Jets 1-1, and we got a +3 spread for the Jets at home, over under 37. And I laugh because I say that if anybody was expected to probably be 0-2 to start the season off, it possibly was the Patriots. And if anybody can make it back from 0-2, it's the Patriots, because how many times have they been in this scenario before? So, Jeff, give me the grease, baby. Let me know what's going on in those neck of the woods up there in the northeast. And are the Patriots even close to being a team that we should even consider for anything other than the 12th pick in the draft this year?
Well, you open up against Philadelphia, and 7 minutes in, you're down 16-0. Then you got the Sunday night game against Miami, and you're down, 14-0 there. Yep. So the slow starts, the ineptitude in the first half, never mind the first quarter, and it's just dink and dunk and death by 10,000 paper cuts. The signing of Zeke, it was useless. Not going after a DeAndre Hopkins or a big time wide receiver. it's alarming. And here's the real alarming fact: is Bill has done very, very well against poor quarterbacks, and this you couldn't have asked for a better spot here with Zach Wilson at the helm. But the Jets D is going to put a lot of pressure on Mac on Sunday. And the problem is the Patriots O-line is just awful. It's decimated. And the big problem here, Pops, is the following Sunday, the Patriots travel to Dallas. And Mr. Parsons is just licking his chops there. So put it this way, if the Pats lose Sunday, it's over. The season's over because they're not winning in Dallas. You and I both know that. Tom Brady's not walking through that door. Gronk's not walking through that door. Julian Edelman, Ty Law, McGinnis, they're not coming through. So absolute all hands on deck. Must win. I'm even going to go on record that the Pats get a pick six here. Vegas is telling me 20-17 Pats. I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to go 24-13 Pats with the win, Pops.
Well, I'm going to be real quick here because I'm going to be honest with you. As long as the Jets have Salah as the coach, they're not going to do anything, man. And I think that he already pretty much lost his quarterback in Zach Wilson because he didn't believe in him. If he believed in him, Zach Wilson could be a better quarterback, but he doesn't believe in him. So he already has it in his mind that, I'm just going about my business, going to collect my money. I know this coach doesn't want me here, but he has to deal with me. And you know what? That's not good, man. And I don't like that type of attitude. And I don't think the Jets really have any hope, Jeff, to be honest with you. And I truly do feel like this one right here will wind up actually being a shutout. I don't even need to sit here that long on this game. Every time I look at the numbers for this game, it just says 17-zip shutout, in my opinion. It don't matter what's going to happen. This is where the bottom falls out for the Jets. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Pats with the -3. I'm not even going to sweat it. I know putting up the -150, that's just to ensure that we win the game and not have to worry about the points. But, hey, I'm so gung-ho on this. When I do my alternate lines, Jeff, I might make them a -6. How about that? That's how good I feel about the Patriots going into this one because I just really feel like the Jets have quit already. I just truly do. And Sunday showed. As soon as the going got really rough, they just were like, you know what, white flag, we're done, we're through, we're out of here. So that's how I'm feeling with that one. But
don't forget, Dallas did that to the Giants on opening day, and they also now did it to the Jets. My point is, this defense that we're seeing so far for Dallas, I'm not calling them the 85 Bears. I'm not calling them the Ravens of whatever year that was. My point is, tough spot coming off the big win against Buffalo and then having to travel to Dallas. So this, I tell you what, Salah finds a way to keep this one close and Wilson wins the turnover battle. I mean, they'll be calling for Bill's head before the end of week 4. I mean, because the Dallas will be -13 at least against the Patriots. So, but I agree with you. This Bill Belichick has had ways to make certain quarterbacks look real bad. Sam Darnold, who was the butt fumble there? The USC guy, Sanchez. He's done it in this spot a million times, so wouldn't be shocked there.
Yeah, and pretty much the only thing that can help the Jets is their crowd. The crowd literally move them to victory week 1. We know that. But, the crowd can't play for you, but the crowd can't play a part into this game. So if they're loud and crazy and the Jets can make some things happen, they got a chance. But if that doesn't happen, well, let's get ready for a shutout. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we got the Bills and the Commanders, and we all remember 1991. What a year. You know what I mean? That was a fun year, and the Bills went to their second Super Bowl, and the old Redskins, the Hogs, all of a sudden had won 13 games out of nowhere that season with a backup quarterback named Mark Rippon, and next thing you know, they're dancing in Minnesota, winning the Super Bowl. So it's it's been a while since that point, but I think this possibly was the best chance for the Bills to win a Super Bowl. I think they always say the Giants game was, but I think this was the best opportunity because when you really look at both teams on paper, Buffalo was light years ahead of Washington. Washington was just playing off of great coaching and great and just having the right type of veterans there. But man, we all saw what happened in the Super Bowl, man. That game got it really, really out of hand late. Any memories, Jeff?
Oh yeah, big time. I remember that Super Bowl like it was yesterday, and unfortunately, I was on the wrong side of that Super Bowl as well. I bought into the K Gun. I bought into Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, the whole bunch, and that I missed that Washington Redskins, meaning the Hogs, the 4 o'clock CBS. The band playing that was must-watch TV, and these kids, the Gen Zs, the millennials, whatever you want to call them, have no idea what they're watching now with the Commanders. A team, Sam Howell, hats off to McLaurin, turf toe. I'd never see anyone fight through turf toe. He's gotten through it. Dotson, the defense came up big. They could have folded their tent last week, Pops, easily, and just said, all right, we'll leave 1-1. Instead, they're 2-0. They're dangerous this week.
Yep. So I'm gonna let you kick it off because I see that what you like here, and you see what I like here as well too. So, what are your thoughts going into this game, and who are you taking to win?
I just bought the hook, took it down to 6, and hope the Bills win by 7 or more. But here's what's going to happen: you're probably going to see a Bills team get out early, and then will Washington fight back again? And we've seen regression with Josh Allen, and again, the Raiders come into town, west to east. They take a 7-0 lead, panic-stricken. Buffalo, here we go again, and they rattle out 38 points. I don't think the Bills are where we thought they were. They got a long way to go, but hats off. Eric Bieniemy. Everyone talked about him in Kansas City, and they're like, we'll see what he can do. Quietly 2-0. They put up a 35 burger in Denver. Expect a high-scoring game here, Pops. The true number that I had here, 46 and a 6.5, down to 44.5, 44 at circa with a 6.5. Bought the hook. I need the Bills to win by 7 or more, Pops.
All right. Okay, so the way that I see this game going, and it's going to be probably my first one that I've called out on the show all year long. But man, when you give a team plus 6.5 at home, they're 2-0. They've played excellent football the first 2 weeks of the season. I really do feel like that was a great team win in Denver because they got down 21-3. Old Washington would have said, you know what? Let's pack it up. We good. We're going to just use this as some motivation next week to go into this home game. No. They said, that's not, we can beat these guys. They're not that good. And pretty much they went ahead and they beat these guys. And what you got to love is that they were down 21-3, right? They win the game 35-33. That means they outscored them 32-12 on the way out. And that's absolutely incredible. That shows you that this team has turned the corner. So for my first good news only dog bet of the week, where are we going with this one? Give me the Commanders with the plus 220 money line, home doggy dog. Man, Sam Howell and this group will prove to everybody that they are not your regular old Commanders, and that Eric Bieniemy is truly missed in Kansas City as we speak today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Commanders with the plus 220 to be my dog bet of the week. I just love everything this team is doing right now. I think Eric Bieniemy is an absolute incredible leader, and Ron Rivera is a great general. And I feel like we got the right idea going with this team. Ron Rivera runs the team and the defense, and the enemy runs the offense. It looks a lot like the 85 Bears coaching situation where you had Ditka literally run the offense and the special teams, and then he just let Buddy Ryan have his own unit and do what they want to do over on that side of the ball. So, yeah, you like the organization that they got going on, and guess who Ron Rivera played for? The 85 Bears. So it all makes a lot of sense, and this is exactly where he wants to be.
I agree. Like I says, I definitely would put the Bills on upset alert. Tough spot. Very fortunate last week to play the Raiders. Now got to travel down to D.C. Place will be rocking. A game where they slept walked week 1 against Arizona, and a game that they came back from the dead to win in Mile High, which not many people have done in the past. Now come back home. They can get a couple picks from Al and get that head shaken. I think you're onto something, Pups.
Well, yep. And then you know what? And I might be onto something that's going to be extra mush too, because I know that if I'm yelling this out, there's going to be 15 other people yelling this out because they feel like they caught something. But Jeff, I do my own lines on Sunday afternoons, and I send it to you and tag you on it. And this one did not match my numbers. I had this as a 2.5 to the Bills as the favorite. I still got the Bills as the favorite, but you're giving them too many points. You're just giving them too many points, in my opinion. And that's why I feel like if you'd have gave me the Bills at 2.5, I'm taking them. But you gave me 6. So what are you telling me that with this? And knowing how the Commanders are, this looks like a upset special in DC. I'm sorry, it just does. And I don't think right now the Bills are good enough to warrant a 6.5-point spread on the road. Not at home, you can do whatever you want with them. But on the road, no. You know what I mean? You just lost to the Jets. Why would I trust you in Washington? Straight up. You know what I mean? So let's move forward to probably the most under the radar game. Well, it's not an under the radar game, but let's keep it real. The AFC South is irrelevant. It's just the irrelevant division because it feels like they have a front runner. You're the favorite in the division is, if we were at the track, is a 1-2 in the Jaguars. You know what I mean? Secretariat against the 12-5 claimers from how everybody's putting it. But you have to understand, these are the toughest games to win in this division, are their divisional games, especially for the top team, which is the Jaguars now. The Texans, no, they were the top team for a long time too. And the Jaguars used to be a pain in their side. So now we have this situation in reverse. Now you have, they would probably say C.J. Stroud has arrived. C.J. Stroud threw for 387 yards, I think 3 touchdowns or something of that nature Sunday, but that was all in a garbage time loss at the end of the day. He still didn't look that great. And the goofiest thing about the guy was that they knew that the touchdown wasn't going to count, but let's still do the touchdown celebration anyway. When they got the holding call and, he threw the touchdown, and it just goes to show you the mentality of bad teams, you know what I mean? And players that play on bad teams. And I truly do think that the Texans probably did learn a lot in that game. And when you learn a lot in a game, you can translate it into next week. And a lot of people are going to sleep on the Texans coming into this week, but they loom the danger, Jeff. They truly do. And I know for a fact that this team knows that they're a little bit more confident now. Week 1, you had to go after the Ravens. The Ravens was like going against the penitentiary boys, and they literally going to plunk you up and down the field. But then you get over here to the Colts in a game that was winnable, but you made mistakes. Now you got some confidence. Now you go against the Jaguars. You know what's on their game plan as well, too. You can see that this team can be limited on things as well. So, hey, we might give ourselves a chance here. They're giving the Jaguars way too many points, in my opinion. I'm taking the plus 9.5 on the Texans, Jeff.
I did the same thing. I bought the hook, took it up to 10. I'm looking here. It's a 7 with a 46. That was my true number. Now all the way up to 9.5 at circa with a 44. basically the KCD and Mr. Jones came into town to Jacksonville and just shut Mr. Lawrence down. Expect a lot more from Trevor. ETN questionable. They got Tank Bigsby behind him. Calvin Ridley, I saw a lot of drops. Look for him to rebound. Ingram. Defense playing good. I'm going to take the points. Again, you got to keep this one close. I'm expecting Doug Peterson to really try to get Lawrence back in stride. Do I expect the Jags to win? Yeah, I do. I'm hoping it's by 10 or less. So I bought the hook up to 10. Let me see. My initial number was 50. They're telling me 30 to 20. Actually, no, 46. I'm sorry. So 27-17. So if I can get the Texans to get me over 17, I think I'm going to get a cover here, Pops.
I got you. I'm with you. And you know what? If we get the Texans to play some defense, we should be in good shape. That's the thing. They're not playing great defense. If they play great defense, they should be in shape. If they don't, then you know what? Murder she wrote. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. All right. One more before we take our next break, and that's going to be a game that will probably be a one-sided bet when we get to Sunday, but it shouldn't be like that. And that's going to be the Colts and the Ravens. The Ravens coming in here 2-0, looking. I won't call the Ravens world beaters. I just won't. But they are playing great football coming into this game. The Colts 1-1. Kind of surprising a lot of us that they have a quarterback that's able to, be fearless. But him being fearless is kind of a problem right now for this team. Jeff, go ahead and give us your thoughts on this game. And who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, Richardson came in on his second touchdown, flips over, bangs his head, gets right up, but goes right into the blue tent. Now in concussion protocol as we speak. My number here was, where was it? I think it was an 8.5 with a 44, down to 8 with a 44.5. If Richardson is not available to go, then it will be the Gardner Minshew show. Ravens right now 2-0, not cooking with Crisco. J.K. Dobbins out for the year. It's the Gus Bus and whoever else wants to run with him. Zay Jones, big first game. Didn't see him as much in the second game. Odell now already hurt. We knew this was coming. Mark Andrews was back. This is a game that the defense should shine. Here, I bought the hook, took the Ravens down to 7. My original number again was 44 with a 7. I'm going to go on record, Pops. I'll go 27-17 final Ravens.
All right. Well, you know how I'm thinking with this one right here, Jeff? I'm thinking like this. I think that the Ravens are playing such great football right now. The Colts are a team that are trying to figure themselves out. We know that they're a work in progress. I would say that they're possibly going to go without Richardson this week because let's keep it real. It's been 2 weeks in a row, and I think that he actually suffered 2 concussions in a row. Because he got hit really hard in game 1 as well, too, at the end of that game. And then he got hit again pretty hard in week 2. And so now we finally pulled him out because in week 1, it looked like they were going to pull him out thin, and they didn't. So we know that possibly he's going to be out this week. But I think that for precaution and for the sake of the media not tearing up your locker room asking a bunch of CTE questions, I would suggest coach actually sits him for this week and see what they can do with Gardner Minshew because I'm going to keep it honest. Gardner Minshew actually gives them their best chance of winning on Sunday. I know it sounds crazy, but he actually does give them their best shot at winning because when you draw up game plans against an Anthony Richardson, you just drop the same game plan that you have the scout team do when they go against Lamar Jackson. So pretty much it wouldn't be hard to defend what Anthony Richards coming with because they already see it every day at practice. And I just truly do feel like this is going to be a big game for guys like Zay Flowers. It's going to be a big game for Gus Edwards as well, too. And I just feel like the Ravens will take care of their business easily when it's won by 10 points or better. So I'm taking them with the 7.5. I don't need to buy the hook because I feel like they can win this game by 10 or better. I think I'll put them on my alternate line as a 9.5 because I actually had them graded as an 8 on this game as well, too. So I feel like my numbers call for the Ravens to absolutely put on a clinic in this game And it looks like your numbers call for that as well, too. So we are in consensus for that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break once again. And when we get back, we will jump into a few more early games. And then we got the late slate for you guys as well, too. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange. And boy, oh boy, it's the one and only Pop DBICD primetime capper, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. Let's go ahead and get into our next game, which is going to be the Titans and the Browns. The Browns coming into this game 1-1 as well, and the Titans are 1-1. Jeff, it's crazy that I was looking at how the matchups work out with records and everything this week, and we only have 1 0-2 matchup, 0-2 matchup. That's the Vikings and the Chargers. And then we have 1 2-0 matchup, and that's the Monday Night Football game with the Eagles and the Bucks. That's crazy. That is nuts that the schedule is set up that way to where we have mostly 2-0 situations going against 1-1 situations. So that's pretty cool. All right, so this one right here, we put together 2 1-1 teams. And you have a Titans team that's coming in here feeling pretty good because, honestly, they should have lost that game. The Chargers pretty much gave the game away. And, you know, Mike Vrabel is a guy that you don't have to ask twice to take a game. That's why Mike Vrabel's a great coach, because he can coach with a little bit of nothing and wind up being, you know, the victor in a game. So that's something that we really do have to respect when it does come to him. And I feel that in this game, Mike Vrabel is going to be a very, very big piece to the play calling on the defensive side, because he knows Deshaun Watson very well. And that's something that can be a real problem for the Browns coming into this game. Nick Chubb out for the season. It's been confirmed. It was confirmed that the moment he went down, because when Nick couldn't get up, everybody knew the season's over, because Nick Chubb is a tough guy. And we've seen him have some knee injuries, and he's been able to get right back up. So pretty much this is the thing. We have a very, very key situation right now with the way that this is setting up. You have a team in the Titans that are feeling pretty good about themselves going into this game. You know that, because they won a game in a clutch fashion. The Browns are a very confident team coming into the game, because they know that they have a great defense that will be able to keep things manageable and keep things comfortable and keep them in the game. So one thing that does help the Browns out in this situation is having Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford actually ran for 100 yards last night, and that was absolutely incredible that he was able to do that last night as well too. So pretty much with that, we have ourselves a very, very, very good reasoning for why this game in itself is going to be one of the better games come Sunday, because you have a game that really you do not know where it's going to go at all. And I truly do feel like what happens here is this. I think since we have a game where you truly don't know where it's going to go, and I know the Browns are still on everybody's mind as a team that's capable of being one of the better teams in the NFL because the defense that they have and the capability of their quarterback if he decides to become an elite quarterback again. And one thing I'm going to say before I reveal my pick is this. Deshaun Watson better be on the lookout, because if DTR gets on the field, he might not ever get back on the field. So I hope he kind of tries to start using that as motivation like every other great player does before, because that's what made Tom Brady great. Tom Brady put it in the back of his head that his backup could take his job. And that's why he was able to be so successful all the time. Reason being because he took his guy, he was a backup that took the starter's job. So he knows that. So I'm just throwing that out there for Browns fans and fantasy owners that you got to get ready for DTR just in case this Deshaun thing doesn't work. But knowing how the situation is going to go, they just can't get rid of him that easily. They just can't bench him that easily. And we both know, and Jeff schooled me on that earlier. So, pretty much that's some well-wishing to be exact. But let me get down to the damn pick. And the pick is going to be this. I'm going to take the Titans with the plus 3.5. I just trust Vrabel more than Stefanski, Jeff. That's it. That's all. And I just really feel like the Browns can still win the game, but the Titans make this game much closer than most expect this game to be. And this could be a possible another sexy dog bet as well, too, because this game should be a pick 'em. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, I was on the Titans opening week against the Saints. They should have won outright. There was a missed call or an overturned call with Carr and a fumble that the Titans should have went up 10. So they should have started the year 1-0. And then, of course, the poor coaching and the Chargers being the Chargers, the Tennessee won that game miraculously last week in overtime, which we had the over in that game and cashed. It's the perfect storm for the Browns. Monday night, short week, come back home. A must-win situation to get back on track to 2-1. A Titans coming high off the hog with that win against the Chargers. I got this at 21-17 right now. I'm going to stick to it. I bought the hook, Pops, and we got the Browns -3. I think they win by 4 or more here, Pops.
All right. And I think, Jeff, you're on to something there, because we know that the Titans are kind of a smoke and mirrors type of situation. I just kind of want to see if they can prove themselves real quick, because I just don't want to be so gung-ho on the Browns after what just happened Monday, after what just happened last night. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people are probably fading the Browns when we get to that, but that might not be the most popular thing to do, because playing in Cleveland is a lot different than on the road. And that, once again, it plays a part into the team winning games as well, too, and the defense playing better, just like with the Jets. So let's talk about the Chargers and the Vikings. And you guys know I covered the Chargers and everything like that. So, I'm probably would be up in here possibly. Come on. Yeah, we're trying to make sure we change this over so you guys know who the right people are. So pretty much the Chargers really do need this game. They need it badly, because the Chargers don't want to keep falling that much further behind in the AFC West. Luckily, they have the Raiders and Broncos there, who are going to struggle all season. And right now, good for them that you have a team. Nobody's undefeated in the division, okay? And the Chargers haven't played a division game yet. So there's a lot of things that work in their favor. But they're a team that really does need to get going, because next week it's Dallas, and they really do need to figure out what they're going to be, who they're going to be. I know that the Dallas game is going to be a game that they do play at home. It's going to be a big time home game that's probably not going to have Charger fans a part of it, but they can't think a week ahead either. Minnesota is a team that is very similar to the Chargers. Like, they're twins in a sense. They're both 0-2. They both lost very close games that they both should have won. and it's really hard to separate the two. That's why the line looks like that as well too. But when we look down at these teams pound for pound, who's better? The Chargers, because the Chargers have the star power here. The Vikings have the best player on the field in Justin Jefferson. So this really does actually play up to being probably one of the top 5 games of the week this week as well too. It's really hard to separate these two teams. It's really, you pick a side and just hope for the best. And that's what I'm saying with this one. And I feel like the Chargers, you get to have one more chance in my good graces to show me that you are able to turn that corner. But I doubt that they're ever going to really turn that corner, because this team should be 2-0, Jeff. It's disappointing how bad this situation has really gotten. And I think that if they lose this week, Spanos really does need to call the guy in and see if he needs to move forward with him as his head coach for the rest of the season. I'm sorry. I know it's early to pull the gun and things like that, but we keep seeing the same movie every single week. And this has got every other coach in front of him fired. So why go ahead and just have a whole season of it when you know you possibly could get a different voice that will start helping your team actually win these games? So I'm going to take the Chargers with the minus 115.
My original line, Pops, Chargers -2 with a 49. It's up to 54 in a pick 'em. Loser 0-3 season probably over, but Minnesota's in a division where I think 0-3 still can sneak you into the playoffs. For the Chargers, 0-3 with Kansas City there, with Denver and the Raiders. 0-3 is not going to do anything for you here. I like the thought process very simply. First 1 to 30 wins this game. I'm putting it on Herbert and company. And listen, 0-3 fired. It's a very simple decision what to do here. You fire him immediately before he even lands. I hand the clipboard over to Kellen Moore. I say, you take over. Let's see what you got, young genius. You're the OC, you're the head coach, and then the defense and the coordinator take care of it over there. That is the solution, the simple solution. So Chargers win, Staley saves his job. Chargers lose, I hand it to Kellen Moore, and you finish the season that way, and then you can go from there. But Charger money line -115 for me, Pops.
All right. And Jeff, if we're thinking it, they're thinking it, because all the LA writers, all the media folks are just it begins. That's how it's been for all these Charger coaches over the last 20 years. Is once this 0-2 thing begins, the talks of firing the coach begins as well too. And this might be the non-dream job of anybody. It's the only team that has the capability of being in the playoffs year in and year out, but they still play average football. It's befuddling at the same, that this team is that snake bitten. But let's go ahead, jump into our next game, and let's start with the after. And this is going to be our first afternoon game, the Sunday late games. This is where millionaires are made, and this is where millions are lost at as well too. So, as Jeff likes to call them, quicksand Sundays when you get to these games and it don't go well. You know what I mean? Because you'll have a great morning, then you get to the afternoon games, cockiest man on earth, and then you winding up over here sweating it out second half of a Sunday night football game. All right, so we have the Panthers coming into this one 0-2. You know what? That was kind of expected, right? I guess by a lot of people that this team would be 0-2. Bryce Young is going through the fire somewhat, just like a guy by the name of Peyton Manning did when he was a rookie in the NFL as well too. Hopefully they can keep the same confidence in Bryce Young that the coach kept in Peyton Manning moving forward, because you see a lot of good things with Bryce Young, but you just know that the team's just not capable of being a winning team this year. They don't have a great running game. They don't have a great receiver core. Their line is atrocious. The defense is still a great defense, but they're on the field too much. So there's just a lot of things with the Panthers, as I keep saying about a lot of these teams that are on the other side of the top 16. they are works in progress. And I would put the Panthers in the echelon of the 28 through 32 group. That would be the 4 worst teams in the NFL, or the 5 worst teams in the NFL, whatever. And they're in that group. And it's not because they're that bad of a team. It's just because the way that their roster is constructed is not constructed to do anything but win 3 to 4 games this season, in my opinion. If they go over that, then they're overachieving. And I had high hopes for these guys as well, too. Seattle, they want to get the stank out their mouth from a terrible, terrible home opener. Seattle is very prideful about their home field advantage that they've had over the last 30 some odd years, really since 1976 when they came into the league. And when they lose games the way that they did to their division rival, they usually can bounce back in the next game and have a great performance. They set the lineup in a sense to say to us that, you know what? We know that everybody's going to want to overbet the Seahawks, so we're going to take this Seahawks money early, knowing that this line should have opened up at -8. But we're going to take this 4.5 because we're going to give everybody the idea that Seattle is going to be able to just easily cover this spread. This is when people get in trouble. But I'm going to be ignorant here, Jeff, and say I don't care. I still think Seattle goes into this game because when you're a work in progress, you usually don't get things going until about week 4 or 5. And that's how I feel with the Panthers at this point. You're coming out of Monday Night Football as well, too. I'm taking Seattle to win this game by 10 or better. Not a touchdown or better, 10 or better, Jeff.
Well, we look for the stenches of the week. My true number is a 6 for the 42.5. It's now 5.5 for the 42. We look for the 4 o'clock train wrecks because there's one every week. You know that, if not 2. I bought the hook. I got Seattle -4. I can't take the first half, Seattle versus the Rams, and then the phone call. Seattle kept the troops in there, and the Rams just blew them off the track the second half. But something clicked to me, Pops. This Rams team, McVay is engaged. Puka and Tutu are the real deal. Corinne Williams is the real deal. They're locked and loaded. So maybe as much stench we want to put on Seattle for laying the egg, maybe the Rams are that good. Just ask the 49ers. They were in a game for the first 3 quarters until that turnover. And so I took Seattle, but this is set up to be that train wreck. The 0-2 Panthers coming off a short week, a late Monday game, now got to travel to the 12th man, the Temple of Doom or the Legion of Boom, whatever you want to call it. So again, who wins the turnover battle? Does Geno become Geno of last year or the regression? Kenneth Walker looked good last week. Pound it to Kenneth, DK, Lockett. Let's get the offense rolling here. The defense should control Mr. Young and company. So Seahawks bought the hook -4, Pops.
All right, sounds good to me. All right, so pretty much let's go ahead and move. And I'm trying to make sure we don't have to go to commercial yet. Do we have to go to? No, we don't.
No, we get the Bears.
Yes, we do. And so pretty much we have up now the Chiefs and the Bears. This game is going to be in Arrowhead. You got an 0-2 Bears team coming in, and you got a Chiefs team 1-1. Wow. 13-point favorites, over under 47.5 coming into this game. Everybody probably sees this as their cherry picked money line -700 play Sunday to go with their 10-team money line parlay with all favorites, and they're going to be the cherry on the top that's going to get you over the top and all that good stuff. And they're such a sure thing. Vegas has said they're a sure thing when they give them a 13-point spread. Well, let me go ahead and break it to you. There is no such thing as a sure thing on any given Sunday. And I'm going to tell you like this. This is a big, big, big danger spot for anybody who wants to just go absolutely ape-ish on the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are not that good on offense this year. I'm sorry. They're just not. Okay, I know that they're a little banged up. They're a little hurt. You got to get Kelsey into the motion of things. We know the Jaguars have one of the better defenses. That's why they were able to do well. Believe it or not, Detroit has a pretty good defense. That's why they were able to do well. But the Chiefs figure out everybody. The Chiefs can drop 30 on every single team in the NFL, so those aren't real excuses. I truly do feel the Chiefs know that they're shorthanded right now, and they're kind of coasting through these games a little bit because they're that good at the same time. But in the NFL, you can only coast for so long. The Bears probably have the most motivation coming into this week. Their quarterback is being doubted as usual. Their team is being ridiculed as usual because there's certain players not stepping it up. And we know that the Bears have been rated as the worst defense in the league coming into week 3. And there's just everything is going against the Bears. And when you have everything going against your team, that's when you got to go ahead and back that team, because you know what? They got the only team that thinks that they can. Only people that think that the Bears can win on Sunday is the Bears. And sometimes I love when a team has that mentality going into a game. So I don't have to be on this one too long. I know Justin Fields is struggling, and I know that the Bears our defense is struggling. But you know what? At the same time, they're competing, they're trying, and both those games were close at points. So I'm giving the Bears the benefit of the doubt. They went into another hostile situation and won that game outright as a double-digit dog. So I'm not saying they win, but I do say they do cover the plus 13. So I do like the Bears with the plus 13 going into this game.
Short and sweet. I do remember firsthand Justin Fields on a Monday night coming into Foxborough, 9-point underdogs, and that was probably their last win. They beat the Patriots outright. He has looked pathetic. The Bears have looked pathetic. Their defense is pathetic. With that said, I bought the hook. I got the Bears plus 13.5. I'm looking at our number. It's 49 with a 12.5. Currently, as we speak, 48 with a 12.5 at Circa. With Chris Jones back, with Kansas City wanting to erase their 0-1 start to the year, I expect Kansas City early and often. I expect the Bears to struggle. With that said, can Justin get us to 17? That's the number. If Justin can get us to 17, we should cover this game. So Bears plus 13.5 for me, Pops.
All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take us a quick break. And when we get back, we got our final 4 games to talk about. We got that Cowboys Cardinals, and then we got all of our Sunday night, Monday night football games as well, too. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into a game that I know everybody is going to be glued in on, and that's going to be this one, the Cowboys and the Cardinals. And this one should be a good one because we have Cowboys team coming in here 2-0, the Cardinals 0-2, plus 12.5 point spread, and the over-under of 47.5 as well, too. So, Jeff, I'll let you go ahead and kick this one off and give us your thoughts on this.
A game that, listen, hats off to Mr. Dobbs. He's actually looked pretty damn good in his first 2 starts. A wrecking ball of defense this Cowboys have had. Now, they faced the Giants and they faced the Jets, so in comes Dobbs. I fully expect Dallas to win this game. Our number was 13 with a 44.5, now 12.5 with a 43.5. I bought the hook, Pops, took it down to 12.5. Would I be shocked if the Cowboys won by 10? I really wouldn't. It's a game where Cowboys offensively should be able to get anything going that they want and defensively keep Dobbs in check. We know the trip to the desert has been sketchy for some teams. We'll see what McCarthy has up his sleeve here, but full expect Dolphins, the Cowboys to roll here. Hopefully they win by 13 or more points.
All right. Well, I know everybody is going to be on the Cowboys. I know this. But really, everybody who hates the Cowboys is going to double down on the Cardinals in this bad boy as well, too. The Cardinals have done a great job defensively, even though they did give up a lot of points in week 2. Look at their numbers. Look at their defensive numbers. This team has a total of 9 sacks, and that's a top 3 ranking in the league right now. So this team's not having any issues rushing the passer, and they seem to be a good first half team. So if you're going to do anything with the Cardinals in this game, I know it's weird because I have the Cowboys as the full game winner, but play it smart and play the 7.5 first half and see what the Cardinals can do, because that's probably going to be one of the more popular bets on the Cowboys. So you want to flip that situation and turn it into a plus 7.5. I promise you, the Cardinals will probably be down 7 points at the half, and then they'll get blown out in the second half. We all know that the Cowboys' offense is work in progress at this moment. They're just getting used to the new coordinator and everything like that. It's not hitting the same strides it did when they had their prior OC, but they still have great leadership coming from Dak, and they still have some of the speedier playmakers in the league as well too. So I feel like they pull away in this game in the second half. The first half is going to be tough, but the second half they'll pull away. They should win this game by 2 touchdowns or better, in my opinion. All right, so we move forward, and let's go ahead and jump into our Sunday night football game. In the Sunday night football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Las Vegas Raiders, this is one of the more classic rivalries in all of football as well too. Everybody has great memories of the playoff game and everything like that, the immaculate reception and the Terrell Pryor 99-yard run. So many memories in this series of games between the Steelers and the Raiders. One of the better rivalries in the NFL. Jeff, I'm going to let you kick this one off. What are your thoughts on this game, Sunday Night Football?
I had a pick with a 44 now, 1.5 in some spots, and a pick at Superbook. We talked backstage before the show started on just who the Steelers have faced defensively. They faced the 49ers and then obviously the Browns. In my eyes, 2 of the top 5 defenses in the league. Now they finally get to go on the road, fast turf in the dome. I also do think that Deontay Johnson being out has affected Pickett in regards to that was his check down guy. That was his possession receiver where they were going to use Pickens as more as their big play guy. So now he's got to do both. They need Allen Robinson and a few other guys to step up. Also, please, I know Najee Harris is your workhorse. Can you get Jalen Warren in there a few more times? The defense will travel. TJ Watt breaks the sack record all time for the Steelers. I like them in this spot. I think they get out early. I think they win the turnover battle. I'll go on record, Pops. I see a 24-17 Steelers outright win here, Pops.
Hey, that sounds good to me right there. So Jeff has the Steelers with the plus 100 to win outright. And you know what? He's just riding. I already know his boy Sherapan's finna be over there in probably the Jack Ham jersey and Pittsburgh Steeler construction hat, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? Probably going to be wearing some Pittsburgh Steeler underwear as well, too. So, I know that he's going to be hot and heavy for his Steelers come Sunday. But I know one thing, that the Raiders are another team that are part of we didn't get to play a home game yet. And this is the home opener. the Raiders have been able to look really good in every home opener that they've had in Allegiant. And I think that they are 3-0 in home openers as well, too. I have to go back and look at my notes to see if that's all the way true. But I know that they probably have had all their home openers on prime time, and pretty much they've stepped it up in all those games. And when you have to be on the road the first 2 weeks of the season, a lot of times you can't wait to show out in front of your home crowd. And we all know the best home crowd at a Raiders game is always going to be the opening day crowd. And I feel like what happens here is the Raiders play enough defense here because Kenny Pickett to me is a little limited. And he has great receivers and great playmakers and things like that. But that offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. They'll probably get better as the season goes along, but they looked absolutely atrocious last night. And it seems like they can't stop a nosebleed. So I can't trust that offensive line. And I just feel like the momentum of the game is going to be on the Raiders side. So I'm taking the Raiders with the minus 110 to win this game straight up. So we on a 50-50 here, Jeff. You like the Steelers. I like the Raiders. That's going to be most of the bettors come Sunday. Let's keep it real.
Coin flip.
So coin flip, and we go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our doubleheader. Monday Night Football. You ready for our party? So Monday Night Football, we have up the first matchup on ESPN, the Super Bowl matchup. I should have talked about this last because this is more of the main event. This game right here, Eagles Bucks is not a main event. That's really what that's the ABC game that they bought. But if it was up to ABC, they'd be showing the Rams Bengals game. So we know this is a rematch from the Super Bowl a few years ago in Los Angeles, right down the I'm not gonna say right down the street, but right down the freeway. And it was one of the better Super Bowls that we've had over the last few years and everything like that. But it truly is a really good game. And this, to me, is a turning point game because in reality, nobody expected the Bengals to start 0-2, but nobody expected Joe Burrow to pull his hamstring either. This team, I keep trying to get people to understand that the Bengals are slow cookers, and them starting slow has been the problem the last 2 years, and they've finished beautifully the last 2 years. They didn't win a Super Bowl, but they still finished among the best teams in the league. And this is where I keep going back to my point. The first 2 weeks in the NFL do not determine who the best teams are going to be. That just determines that these are the teams that got through the first 2 weeks unscathed, or they're 1-1, or they got some things to fix. The Bengals, I felt like they started figuring it out late in that Baltimore Ravens game. And to Jeff's point earlier, this Rams team is really good because one thing about Sean McVay that they do not say, Sean McVay is a great evaluator of talent, not of the big names on the board, but of the playmakers on the board. There's so many players in college football that it's hard to separate the guys. But there's something about McVay where he can break down tape and get the exact guy that he needs, and that will fit into his system. That's what makes McVay a top 5 coach. It doesn't matter what the Rams record is because he knows how to find fits. And that's why the Rams are doing so well, because they have guys who fit their roster. It's not about names. They kind of went back to how they were before they had the OBJs, the Von Millers of the world, where they just built from within. And that's something that you do have to respect, but at the same time, too, that just goes to show you that this team is a 7-10, 8-9, 9-18 at the end of the day. They're going to be even all season. I feel like the Rams know that they're not playing for much more than respect. The Bengals have expectations. They know that if they lose this game, there's going to start being some doubt about the quarterback. It's going to be some doubt about the coach. It's going to be some doubt about everybody. And that's one thing Cincinnati can't afford at this moment in time, because they still truly haven't became an elite team yet. They're on the cusp of being an elite team. and they cannot start 0-3. So I'm taking the Bengals to win this game with the money line minus 130. And crazy part about this game is it opened up as a minus 6.5 to the Bengals, but went down very quickly as well too after the Niners game was over against the Rams. But I think that's a smoke and mirrors type situation, and the 6.5 is really the correct number because I feel like they're going to absolutely crush the Rams come Monday night.
Well, my friend, my true number is 4 with the 46, and it's down to 1.5 in 2 spots. It's at 2 at Circa. I will just tell you with that number, what it's clear to me, clear as day to me, and I could be wrong. You know that. I usually am. Joe Burrow's not playing. Joe Burrow is not playing. That number clearly says to me he's not playing. And here's the reason why. He was gimpy in poor conditions in Cleveland. He muddled around. You can tell with Jamar Chase not being effective because his routes take longer. That's why T. Higgins had the bigger day. His routes are more shorter. My point is when he threw the last touchdown, he started hobbling. He had the machine on his calf. Here's the problem. 0-3, you could say the season's over. I get that part, and I do agree as well. If you put him out there 50, 60% trying to stop the 0-2 to 0-3 with an Aaron Donald, not only do they lose, he's probably done for the season. I don't know who their backup is. I don't know if it is Boomer Esiason. Is it Kenny Anderson? The fact of the matter is the number tells me Joe Burrow is not playing. So I took the Rams +2. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe whoever the backup is finds a way to get Chase going, to keep Higgins going, Joe Mixon to slow down that rush. But Puka Nuka is Cooper Kupp 2.0, and Tutu Atwell had a great start. The Kerwin Williams, other than that blown catch that turned into a turnover that flipped the game, I like what I'm seeing, and I'm a Bengal guy. You know that. I've been a Bengal guy since Joe was in diapers. I'm hoping he plays. I'm hoping he muscles through. I don't see him playing. Give me the Rams +2, pups.
Sounds good to me, brother. Sounds good to me. And thanks for the update, too. I'm just over here gung-hoing and doing what every silly fan does when they don't know what's going on with the injury report. But I still like the Bengals more in this game. I just do. I don't know why. I just do. You know what I mean? I just feel like they're not going to play bad in front of their home crowd on Monday Night Football. I just don't feel like that's going to happen. All right, our final game, Monday Night Football, ABC, Eagles at the Bucks. The only 2-0 matchup. Surprise, surprise, surprise. None other than the man himself, Baker Mayfield, in the spotlight again. National TV game. Man, they can't get this guy off the TV. Jeff, go ahead and give us your analyst on this and give us your pick for this one as well, too.
My number was 7 with a 45, 27-20 somewhere in there. Let me just say this. The Eagles have kind of sleptwalked the first 2 weeks, kind of, it is what it is. They played 1 quarter against the Patriots, mailed in the last 3 quarters, allowed Minnesota backdoor cover last week. Now they're going into a Monday night game where, again, they didn't expect the Bucs to be 2-0. A Bucs team that went into Minnesota and Baker stole the show there. And then they come back home and muscle through a Bears team that's just god-awful right now. Hats off to Baker. If the real Eagles team shows up, the real defense, the Georgia Bulldog defense, they cover this. I bought the hook -5. Listen, if they play a little grab butt, and let the cannons, fire the cannons off a couple times and get behind, well, we'll see. I expect Gainwell to be back. DeAndre Swift had a big game. Also, look, Jalen Hurts to try to get A.J. Brown off. Devonta has kind of stole the show the first 2 weeks. A.J. got a touchdown taken away last week. Expect in your anytime touchdowns, A.J. Brown to score this week. Fun game, good game, but Eagles -5 for me, Pops.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and follow your lead in this spot. I don't need to talk too much about this. Thing with it, what this is the Bucs are a smoke and mirrors 2-0. Let's keep it real. Baker, we talked about this, and it was funny because I'm going back to messages that were on the videos on YouTube, and a guy was like, "Oh, calm down. Oh, man, Baker sucks. Oh, man, you guys think y'all always know what you're talking about." Well, they're 2-0, bud, and they're 2-0 because Baker Mayfield knows how to play the quarterback position in the NFL. You don't. Big difference. And Baker Mayfield, believe it or not, you might not like the guy personally, but he likes to win football games as well, too. And he has the best receiver he's ever had. Mike Evans went for 171 yards on 6 catches the other day, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, we got a ball club over here, fellas. And Todd Bowles is a coach that knows nothing but winning in that division as well, too. Let's remember the Bucs are the defending divisional champions. So we should have never overlooked them that badly because they probably had the other better acquisition of quarterbacks during this summer as well, too. Derek Carr was a big name because he was a current starter. But Baker Mayfield was going to get a job as a starter regardless of wherever he went because he went to the Pacific teams that needed starters. And he went to the Bucs. So it's really a perfect fit for him and the team at this point. But that's not going to help them come Monday night. What's going to happen is that the Eagles are just going to walk in there and they are going to play this one up like it's a playoff game, and they're going to absolutely trash the Bucs in this game, in my opinion, because they have to send a message because they're being questioned now. And Baker is still a guy that has his issues. I saw that in the Bears game is where there was a lot of ugly plays. It's just the Bears weren't good enough to stop. It just weren't good enough to be consistent in that game. Eagles defense is the best defense he's going against all year long. Minnesota and Chicago, their defenses are at the bottom tier right now. So it's because the matchup. These guys win this game by 2 touchdowns or better. I hate talking like this before a game, but the Eagles will walk all over the Bucs in this one just because they know they're motivated. They see 2-0 on the other side. They know they can't lose this game. It's that simple. It's that simple. So that's what I'm taking. So
No, I agree.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I agree. Like I said, win the turnover battle. Get a couple picks on Baker, get him to start shaking his head. The longer they allow Tampa to hang around, like again, they took a 16-0 lead in Foxborough and then allowed the Patriots to hang around, who had the ball with a chance to tie and win that game. Don't allow Baker to do that. Don't allow them to fire the cannons. Don't allow the crowd to stay in the game. Finally, play a full 60 minutes here. Take care of business. Get at your 30 and get out of Dodge.
Yes, sir. That's all I'm thinking about is just get your points. Get your stops and go home because I'm telling you right now, Tampa Bay has been a house of horrors for the Philadelphia Eagles the last few times they came, and they were a highly rated team every time they stepped on that field too, and literally ruined their season moving forward. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and that's a wrap. That's a show, Jeff. That's week number 3, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I enjoyed my time. I hope Jeff enjoyed his time as well too. So pretty much we have a very, very good, we have a very good balance going on here. And I really do appreciate your time as well too, Jeff, coming on in, making sure that you do give me the extra time as well too. Because, we try to make the show about an hour for you guys. But since I'm cutting up the clips and everything like that, we all good. We all good. But any final thoughts before I wrap this thing up, Jeff?
It's week 3. Again, hopefully everyone is hanging around for myself at 500. For you, a couple games just below the Mendoza line. There's so many games ahead of us, so many weeks, so many months ahead of us. Just pick and choose, sift through what we have talked about, and we'll be back here in week 4 and many, many more. And as always, blessed and honored to be here, Pops. And look forward to the games this week. And hopefully we can squeeze a show in, whether it's you on my channel or me on your channel. We'll figure that one out, sir.
Man, you guys, you know how it goes. So with that, We thank you so much. And you guys make sure you bring your butts back on over here Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And this is the NFL Bet Exchange, and we bid adieu. Toodles!
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime Wave Media Group.